There's a reason middle schools have gained such prominence around the country. In fact, the trajectory and growth for middle schools has really accelerated across the country in the last 10 years. And the junior high model has really declined in large part because of this recognition of the importance of focusing developmentally appropriate instruction, activities, arts, and so forth for these middle years. The middle years are really a special time for children. The middle years developmentally are so important physically, intellectually, socially. It's a time of great change for children. And that 6th, 7th, and 8th grade band really captures those middle years. And there's a real need developmentally for choice. And I think one of the things middle school provides is that opportunity within a safe environment to exercise more personal choice. And the capacity for middle school to be more flexible with curriculum, to have access to science labs, for example, and perhaps enable different levels of instruction for different content areas is really a positive for young people. I think one of the things that our parents and community can count on is that our staff has worked really hard for several years planning and preparing for this transition.
We began the planning process about 4 years ago with our middle school task force. And together with the task force and our teachers and our principals across the district, we knew the most important thing was to get to the why of middle schools. Why become a middle school? Why is that so important? And is that truly best for the young adolescent? And so we felt we had to be convinced of that ourselves before we went any further. So we did a number of visits to AMLE, the Association for Middle Level Education, their national conferences. We did book studies with our school staff. And the more we dug into the philosophy of middle schools, the more we recognized that the research really points to this type of education for students of this age.
One of the key things about junior highs, as we have it set up right now, is the feel is more high school-esque, if you will. 7th, 8th, and 9th grade is really this preparation for high school. And that's really not what's best in essence for very young adolescent learners. For 8th and 9th grade, possibly. 9th grade for sure. They're high school, which is kind of awkward that they're at the junior high, but they're high school. But now we're able to take those 6th, 7th, and 8th graders and welcome them in and be able to meet their needs 100%. 6th grade, it's going to have a little bit more of an elementary-esque feel, if you will. It's going to be geared more for what's developmentally appropriate for them. So for example, we've got our Essentials Wheel, which is our elective programs. We're giving them a dabble of lots of things because in 6th grade, a lot of kids really don't know what they love and what they don't love. And so we want to give them a variety. Let's let them try and test a lot of things. 7th grade, we're beginning to get more of that traditional junior high feel, like what we have right now on campus. They get to choose electives. We're beginning to move them in the autonomy range. Then we move to 8th grade, which really we begin to ramp up a little bit more for, we're now really preparing you for that next step, which is high school. So it feels almost more tiered appropriately or scaffolded appropriately for our age groups.
We'll have content-oriented teachers that'll be teaching them. So we'll have a math teacher teaching math, we'll have a social studies teacher teaching social studies, science, etc. So I think that's the opportunity academically that they are now going to really start building those foundations that are going to help them all the way through high school and into college. So it's not just general ed science, we're being life science, we're being earth science, we're being very specific on what content they're getting.
I'm excited for the changes for our incoming 6th grade, where they're all going to be challenged appropriately and they're all going to be able to dabble into different elective offerings that, you know, maybe they come in thinking, I'm not good at art, or I don't really like art, but we're going to give them an opportunity to try it, because I think sometimes we come in with preconceived notions or ideas that I like or I don't like, but I really haven't been exposed to a lot yet. And so we're going to give them opportunities to take little 9-week sessions of lots of variety And then for the following year, they can reflect back and say, you know what, I really wasn't sure I was going to like art, but oh my gosh, it was the best class ever. I think I want to take art for a semester. Or I loved robotics. I didn't think I was going to love robotics, and I want to take it again. So those are the wonderful things I look forward to, is giving kids the opportunity to really use what we've been ingraining, this idea of having a growth mindset. This idea that just because you think something about yourself doesn't necessarily have to be, that there's lots of possibilities out there.
And what I love about sixth grade is that we have so many more opportunities for them to be involved in extracurricular activities at a real entry level. There's a lot of non-cut sports that kids can get involved in. Schools have different academic clubs that kids can try out. Maybe never knew that they were interested in that, and now that they're finding kind of a niche of an interest that they have, that they kind of start developing in middle school. And so I think coming into sixth grade is a big change in how they, in what school looks like. But it also is a chance for them to start branching out and exploring more and really spreading their wings, which is just one of the coolest things to see in that incoming group of students.
I think the block schedule, I guess, will be really impactful. A number of things. I think it's a nice transition from elementary to middle school, where they're coming from, most of them, from one teacher all day to now they're going to have to manage 6 teachers at some point through the week. But how do we transition that? So starting off with 3 periods a day versus having 6 periods, so that we can slow it down a little bit so students aren't feeling frazzled. I think that sometimes as secondary folks, I will say that we think they come from elementary and they know how to do everything, right? They can time manage themselves, they know how to do homework, they know how to do test taking, and that's not really the case, right? To me, it's a process, right? We're building these students from 6th, 7th, and 8th grade to help prepare them for high school. It's not all going to happen at once, and so like in 6th grade, we really can zero in on with our teams that can really focus in on, here's how we do time management. They're working through their planners, and that through 7th grade, we release it a little bit more, that they're doing more on their own, and then hopefully by 8th grade that they'll be prepared to, by the end of that year, they can do it on their own, because that's where high schools then kick in.
And each school is going to tailor their advisory program to meet the needs of their particular school and their particular students. Advisory programs could incorporate opportunities for movement. It could incorporate opportunities to pursue specific curriculums, whether it's a harassment, intimidation, and bullying curriculum, or looking at suicide prevention, or also taking opportunities to do career and college readiness activities with students. It's also an opportunity to look at how to support or remediate students who might be struggling in a class. But more importantly, it's a chance to be able to connect with students, to develop those social emotional relationships, and for students to have that one adult that they can go to when they need them most of all.
We really need a dedicated time where we can teach students how to navigate our complicated world. And that's what we'll be able to do in advisory. It's exciting to think about that every kid will have an adult advocate in the building who can support them through ups and downs, and who can advocate for them and guide them. And also in that, they'll work on building relationships with other students, so that helps add another layer of support and build our student culture as well.
So all of our middle schools have the web program. The culture that we want to create is those 8th graders are looking out for those 6th graders. They're supporting those 6th graders, right? They're able to walk into the cafeteria and see a student sitting by themselves. It might be a 6th grader, and say, what's going on? Check in with that student. How are you doing? Right? They're available as they walk through the hallway, so when a student looks lost, or they have questions, or they don't know what to do, they're approachable, or they're actually taking the further step and they're going and approaching that 6th grader saying, what's going on? And they're providing guidance and structure and leadership to say, oh, you know what, your counselor's here to support you. Oh, have you talked to one of your teachers about that? So we want to create that culture in middle schools so that our 7th and 8th graders are role models for those 6th graders, right? So there's really positive interaction in that support structure.
We are opening 6 brand new schools in Northshore, and that's exciting because that happens through the joint efforts and energy and talent and enthusiasm, not just of our staff, but of our parents and our students. They're going to have the opportunity to create what is Skyview Middle School and what is Northshore Middle School, and that's an opportunity that is truly rare.
So just all of the planning that we've done and the excitement that there is in our buildings are just, staff are ready, we're ready to make this transition so that we can bring in our 6th graders and really move to what we know is best for students in the middle school models.
So all of the things that we've been learning through AMLE, the Association of Middle Level Educators, is talking about what's best for kids at this developmental age. We got it. We got it nailed.
And we're just so excited for this opportunity for our North Shore students, and so excited for the opportunity then as they move to 9th grade to be part of a high school environment that is a 9th through 12th environment. And it's just such an opportunity that our students will have, and I'm so excited for them.